What kind of magic, I hear you ask? Well, not the kind where you pull rabbits out of a hat. This is a different kind of magic. Hello, my name is Goodchap, James Goodchap. Welcome to my channel, Art Trails and Tales. I first heard about this magical place post-college, working with a fella in Bristol, England. We were supervising and working with young offenders. This is just the thing that you should be doing, the graphic design degree. That fella's name was Steve Finley, a remarkable, very famous British rock climber. He had already introduced me to the passion sport of my life as would-be, and one day over lunch he told me about Yosemite. He'd been here the previous year. I was looking for somewhere new to go. I'd been in Bristol for 6-7 years, some years after college too, and I needed an adventure. So pairing that with my newfound passion for rock climbing, I decided that's where I wanted to go. I will go to America, I will go to Yosemite. I love nature, I love climbing, let's go. Quit my job, I moved out of my apartment, I got a one-way ticket with a friend to Newark, New Jersey. Somebody once told me if you want big things to happen, you just have to make big moves. Well, that initial jolly lasted the best part of almost 3 years. I was sitting in my apartment in Venice one day, knock came on the door. And who was there? And there standing before my very surprised and very delighted eyes was my bestie from Bristol college days, Greg Sedgwick. After a wonderful week of hanging out, my showing Greg all the places that I was familiar with now in Southern California, he says to me one day, "Jamie, this is great, but what about your career?" And just as my very influential friend Steve in Bristol had done years ago, pointing me in the right direction, Greg was now doing it to say, you should come back across the Atlantic and get things going. And that, my darlings, is what good friends are for. You know, art doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens when you're there actually doing it, and it happens as a result of everything that you do and go through in between. Rough and smooth. 4 years in London as a designer, working with composition, colors, fonts, clients, contributed in no small way to the painter that I am today. I loved living in California those few years, so my goal was go back to London, get some experience, and then make yet another big move. I emigrated back to California, this time with a wife and a 7-month-old baby, and we shifted to Sacramento. I didn't know a soul in Sacramento, didn't have a single friend, but it looked like a good city to start a fledgling design firm. And 20 years later, kids all grown up, and I found myself single again. Guess what? Time for another big move. I wound down my very successful award-winning brand identity firm and bought myself a travel vehicle, sold all my stuff, simplified my life, and went traveling to paint. I had more than one friend that said to me, "James, you're going to do what?" And I don't think art needs anybody to explain it. It just speaks for itself. It needs to speak for itself. So how about I just zip it for a while and let you enjoy this painting that's being developed right now. Just before I up-anchored and left Sacramento for my 4th big move adventure, I was having a beer with a good friend of mine, Ken Crittenden from Sacramento, another fellow entrepreneur. I told Ken about this large 4x4 foot painting I just completed of Yosemite. It was at home, which is just a few blocks away. He says, "I want to see it." I said, "Great, come on by." I took Ken over, and his first word out of his mouth was, "Wow." And Ken, being the consummate entrepreneur, he says, Let's pitch Yosemite. We gotta just get some t-shirts, let's put some flyers together, let's go to Yosemite and see if we can get them interested in that artwork going on to products. So that's exactly what we did. We pitched them, they loved it, and before we knew it, I was putting art onto t-shirts, hats, mugs, tumblers, and wouldn't you know it, they sold like hotcakes. Something fresh and distinct, off the beaten path. That big tower in the background you see there is the famous Leaning Tower. It's a 1,000-foot of overhanging wall at about 5-10 degrees off vertical the whole way. A number of years back, a friend and I actually climbed that wall. It took us 3 days. It's a 2-day climb. 1 for a competent party, 3 for party with me in the midst. It was an interesting climb, and well, as a matter of fact, it was almost my last climb on the descent of that climb. Very tired, very weary, very ready to get off the wall. I almost made a fatal climber's mistake on the rappel. Enough to say about that story, but glad to say that I'm here to paint it now, not climb it anymore. I decided back in 2017, kids all grown up and off to college and doing their own lives and doing other things, that it was time for me to go on an adventure and travel again. So I committed to selling everything pretty much. And we've been gadding about, well, not quite gadding, there's a little bit more purpose and intent to it than that, but painting, taking photographs, enjoying nature, and getting out and spending time doing things that I really want to do. So we travel a lot. Say we, that's my dogs and I. Along the way, I've developed my own style, made a point of not taking lessons, even though I went to art school when I was 17. I've been at it as a creative of one sort or another ever since, but not to let anybody else tell me how to paint. So I've uncovered by hook and crook and basically just a lot of hours some interesting ways of painting. This is not a guy living large kind of video. It's just me, James, out and about with my dogs doing our thing. I'd like to share some nature with you and hopefully get you relaxed enough to bust out some paints.